Hello everyone, Ivana Taylor here. It is a lovely fall day. I'm snuggled with my vest and I am chatting with Christine DeGraff. Hi Christine.
Hey there. Good to be here today.
I am so excited that we are doing this hangout. It is called That Was Easy, and if you haven't been to a That Was Easy, let me tell you how it works. The idea here is that we find experts when we can to teach us how to do amazing things online or in our marketing. And today I'm here with Christine DeGraff, who is the co-founder of Circloscope. And I heard about Circloscope. Oh my gosh, I think it really started buzzing, I don't know, 4 months ago, 5 months ago. Christine, tell us the story of why you created Circloscope to help people more about that.
Sure. Well, actually, I think Circloscope's been around for about 2 years now. And the founder, his name is Esham, and he, had created this tool because he wanted to be able to unfollow people who weren't following him back and clean up his circles. And I started using it probably about 1.5 years ago. And it was a little buggy, and it wasn't perfect, but it did the job. And at one point, he had put out a post asking for feedback, and asking users for feedback. And for those of you who don't know, Circloscope is a circle management tool. So anyway, I gave him feedback. I answered his questions, and then I wrote him along. Because I didn't feel like he asked the right questions. So I wrote him along, note and let him know I thought his tool was good, but here were all the problems I saw with it. Even down to the marketing of it, the pricing structure, things like that. And he followed up with me, and we started chatting, and come to find out that he had basically, Circloscope was kind of on its way out because the pricing structure he had set up, it was $5 one time for life.
Wow.
So, he had a ton of users, and these users have to be supported. They've got questions, they've got problems, so he basically, after getting the payments, was supporting these users for free forever, and, it was becoming, very hard on him to keep up with, since Google's constantly changing things, it needs to constantly be updated. And as his user base grew, he had to spend more time on customer service, and, so it was on its way out. So I said, well, look, I would like to be a part of this. Let's work together and redesign it and relaunch it. And so, he agreed to that, and we actually brought in a third person. We brought in Craig, who is also a co-founder. Craig, and I can't even think of his last, Craig Fifield, I'm sorry. Craig has a background as a Microsoft project manager. So, he had a lot of background and things that he brought to the table. So we redeveloped it. It has a completely new interface, a completely different sustainable pricing structure. We set up a customer service center, instead of just winging it with emails and stuff, and we relaunched this past June. So that's probably, yes, when all the buzz started.
There was so much buzz about this thing that everyone I was talking to was like, get yourself on Circloscope, hurry up.
And, we still wanted to keep the free model because, Google Plus is a great community, and just like Circle Count and Nodex, all have free models. We wanted to keep a free model for users because for people who are here for fun, but want to keep their circles cleaned up, we wanted to keep that free. They're here for fun. But there's another market. There's the business people, the people who are here and they're using it for a purpose. They're trying to save time. Time is money, and that has value. So, we did attach a price to business use of it, which is, in addition to a profile, you get 3 pages and a bulk, bulk adding and removing to save time. But it was important to us to keep that free model, and also we grandfathered in the customers who had already paid for a year to let them have the benefit of the new model, and then they'll decide for themselves if they want to renew. But yes, a $5 for life model, don't ever do that. That's just not good business.
It's not profitable. So let's really talk about exactly the best way to get your use out of Circloscope. I know, like right away, it does exactly what you said it would do, right? It really helps you clean up your following, which is what I wanted to do. And I think the other objective I had was that I wanted to create really good circles, right? And I think a lot of people that I talk to struggle with circles. So can you say more about maybe the strategic purpose of circles, how you're supposed to do circles, and then maybe how Circloscope helps you do that, and maybe some best practices?
Sure. Well, for one thing, I think that it's important to keep your circles cleaned up. As far as, you know, people who are no longer active here on Google+. I think a lot of times, you know, people have, maybe they've circled close to their 5,000 limit, and, you know, they're here and they're posting every day, but they're just not really getting much engagement, and they don't know why. And they're usually very surprised when they run Circloscope and realize that maybe 2,000 of the people in their circles aren't even active anymore. Maybe they were here 2 years ago and they're gone now. And so they, you know, they need to remove those people so they can add fresh people, new active users, you know, so they have something in their stream that's relevant, you know, or that's new. Right. There's no reason to be following people who are no longer here.
Gotcha.
As far as people who don't follow back, you know, there is always been this debate about, you know, the whole follow, unfollow, and I know Twitter is all about, you know, follow, unfollow, and people get annoyed, you know. For me personally, and I think it's a personal choice, you know, but for me personally, I follow people because I want content in my stream. So I follow people if I like their content. I also follow people that engage with me, that I have fun with, you know, that I talk to. I don't automatically follow back, you know, I don't do that. So if you follow me and I'm not interested in your content, and I don't, you know, I'm not going to follow back just to get that, you know, to keep you following me. So, you know, drop me, I don't care. To me, it's you know, it's about getting that content. Now, on the other hand, if you're running a business page, I don't see any reason for a business to follow someone that's not following them unless it's for content curation. Like maybe you'll follow a news source because you want that content curation. But, you know, I use Circloscope on a business page to target people who might be interested in that business, circle them, which sends them a notification, and then give them a little time. If they don't follow back, they're not interested. You know, so uncircle them. Because you can only circle 5,000 people in total. So you want to make sure that they're active, that they're here and posting, and that they're interested. And with a business, to me, that means they follow you back, that they're or they're at the very least engaging with you, you know, and that they're relevant. And that's one of the keys, you know, to this is to...
Oh, yes. Can you explain the whole relevance thing? Because, you know, you talked a little bit of, you know, when I first started, I actually have 2 profiles on Google, which is very confusing because when I first started, they went to my personal one, and then, of course, I have my business Google Apps one. It's very confusing. But what was happening is that you would get these notices, so even people in your email list. So here I was adding people from my email list because I didn't quite get Google Plus back. This was like 3-some years ago, right? I didn't quite get it, so I was like adding them on, and then they weren't following. And then somehow on that relevance graph, it's even showing my engagement with people that I don't engage with on Google Plus as much as I do, let's say, on email. So can you explain what the relevance graph is and how do you use it maybe for your business or to build engagement?
Okay, now when I'm going to talk about relevance, there's 2 different ways that I'm talking about it. The relevance graph that's shown on Circloscope, and it uses a score that Google assigns to everyone. And if you, for example, go into Google Plus and go to your circles, you can sort by relevance. That's the score we use for the graph. Now, that means relevance to you, according to Google. And that might mean that you are interested in them, not necessarily that they are interested in you. So it's the relevance to you, and it goes across all Google products. So like if you have them in your contact list on Gmail, you know, maybe if you've commented on their post, shared their post, so that's a relevance to you. Now what I mean by adding relevant people to your circles for business use is people that are interested in or potentially interested in your content. Now, if you think about it, you know, like if you just mass circle people, randomly circle everybody, okay, which is what people do on Twitter and what people do here, you will get followbacks, but they're just random people. They may or may not be interested. You haven't targeted them. You just circled them, and then some of them circle you back, and a lot of them circle you back for that reciprocal follow back. They might follow you. They will likely never engage with you if they're not interested. They'll never, you know, they might put you in a muted circle and never even see your posts, or they might just let them fly by and never read them, engage with them. The goal is to find those relevant people to your business, that people that are actually interested. So what I do with Circloscope is I go into Google Plus, I do keyword and hashtag searches for people that are talking about, commenting, sharing, liking posts that are similar to posts I'm going to share. And those people are already interested or appear to be interested. Those are the ones I add to my circles. And so I'm targeting a certain group, and that makes them more relevant. And then if they take a look and they circle back, you know, and then you can start building that relationship. And I'll give you, you know, an example. I have a page for my music hangout, which, you know, I share a lot of music events and YouTube videos and stuff like that. And when I first built the page, I started, you know, just circling all of my friends. Like, you know, okay, well, all of my friends surely are interested in this. And of course, because they're my friends, they said, oh, okay, we'll follow you back. But they never commented or posted or shared. So, you know, then when I started using Circloscope to find people who were interested in music and in videos, and, you know, I started circling people who had commented on different YouTube videos or shared some of my music posts, stuff like that. Then the engagement started to grow because I'm targeting them, you know, instead of wasting my time just sending out invites to everyone. And kind of the same thing, like you could put it into the context of your event here, of the, you know, DIYMarketers, DIY, not, you know, you could send out 2,000 random invites, and you might get 100 or 150 people to say yes or whatever, but you're just like shooting, you know, dark blindfolded, whatever. You're just sending them out randomly. You have to send out a whole lot in order to get to reach people. So you might have to send out 2,000 to find that 100 that are interested. In the meantime, those 1,900 maybe think you're a spammer and are starting to say, hey, why is she sending this to me? I don't have a business. I'm not interested. You know, where if you could start to target and find those business owners, people who are attending events like this, who attended previous events, put them in the circle. Now you have a smaller circle, but your invite list is starting to get more targeted and relevant, and they're like, you know, less likely to say, why are you adding me, or why did you send this to me, you know?
I get it. So in a lot of ways, and I really want to talk about this because the power that Circloscope has to find these people, right? So number one, you're searching for hashtag terms, keywords for areas of interest. And then once you've got that, that's what I did. I mean, I have like several like interest circles. So these are people who come to our Hangouts, right? For example, there are people, I actually have two. I have ones that are interested in Hangouts in particular, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like when you've got the Ronnie Bincer kind of thing and people are talking about the subject of Hangouts, that's one list, versus people who come to my Hangouts.
Right, exactly.
Right, who just are interested in my topic. So how do you do it? Give us a best practice. What's a good thing to do?
And just remember now, Circloscope is just a tool. So
Right.
you know the actual finding the people, you've got to use your head a little bit, you know, and you're doing that, you know, by doing hashtag searches, keyword searches, looking for those communities that, you know, the people in your target market are in. But then Circloscope makes it easy for you to send the links to those posts and communities in, and then it does the hard work. First of all, filtering to make sure that these people are still active. Because say if you go to a community that was, you know, it could have people that are joined 3 years ago and are no longer active. You know, so first of all, you filter and make sure these people are active. You know, you filter out to make sure that they have a profile photo, for example. You could filter by follower count. Say you want to, I generally set mine, say for example, make sure they have at least 100 followers, so that it's kind of like, you know, they're have started establishing themselves here and not just, you know, a brand new account. You could sort by different, you know, filter by various things, and then, you know, it just bulk adds everyone to a circle, so you don't have to do it one by one by one by one. You know, I've talked to a lot of HOA hosts in particular, and after their shows, everyone who said yes, they would add one by one to a circle, 150 people, 200 people, however much. You know, even if it only takes you a couple seconds for each one, I mean, you've now wasted, you know, however many minutes out of your day every week, you know, and it can start to just be a chore. You know, before I use Circloscope, I would look at my ripples of posts to say, okay, I want to add everyone who shared this post to a circle. Well, if there's 3 or 4 shares, no big deal. But if there's 50 or 100, you know, after a while, I'm like, oh, forget it. It's just not worth the time investment to do it one by one. You know, so that's where Circloscope, I feel, really helps.
Now, the way you and I started talking was that actually I was using Circloscope, and one of the things that I was doing is, as I said, cleaning my circles, right?
Oh, you froze up. I'm not sure if we're still live, but you are frozen. I'm going to pull up some comments just in case we are. And, oh, you were frozen. I'm going to pull up some comments anyway.
Okay.
You froze up, so I didn't hear you.
Okay.
Heidi says it's important to collect the relevant people who engage with you. Exactly. Many of my real friends don't engage with me on Google+. She wouldn't want to throw them out, though. And that's a good point. And you definitely, you know, these people may come back. There is a whitelist feature on Circloscope so that you can make sure you don't accidentally remove them.
Exactly. Here's Rhonda. She's here, and she's talking about how she uses it. She adds people for show circles. That's pretty much how I do it as well. But I've actually gotten into using interest circles. I don't know if I'm unfrozen. Can you see me?
Yes.
Okay, so my question was, can you talk a little bit about how big your circle can be and maybe any limitations and like do's and don'ts and like creating circles in large numbers and lots of movement?
Well, let's see. You can only have 5,000 people in your circles in total. So, you know, there's that limit. That Google also has daily limits of how many people you can add in a day, and it also counts moving people around. And there's a daily limit. It is ever changing. It seems very arbitrary. It's not the same from one person to another. It's not the same for profiles and pages. It changes all the time. It seems like it changes based on your activity. if you are aggressively circling people, hundreds, thousands, or whatever, it's going to scale you back. It's going to actually pull you back a little bit. Say, hey, slow down, like a throttle. And it also, I believe, has to do with your ratio of followers to following. So you have a lot, if you're following 5,000 people, but only 50 people are following you back, then there's a problem and Google slows you down.
Got it.
I've generally found that, and also I believe, now, Google doesn't have all this published anywhere, so this is a lot of assumptions here. I believe it has to do a lot, too, with how old the age of your page or profile. Brand new ones are going to have lower limits than those that have been here for a while. So I definitely say that it's not a race. It's not a race. And the daily limits, it's a 24-hour period. It's not like, okay, well, it's 11:59 tonight, so I'll stop until 12 a.m., 5 minutes from now or whatever.
Right.
No, it's 24-hour periods. But it's not a race, although I do feel like in the beginning, especially when you're trying to grow targeted, active, relevant following, you should do it regularly. Be posting every day, posting good stuff and circling people every day, or at least, a couple times a week, regularly. Maybe it's just 50 at a time, 50 targeted people, 50 people that have, or a handful of people here and there that have shared or commented on a post that's very relevant to what you plan to, post. So slow and steady wins the race.
That's great advice.
Organizing your circles, do it how there are so many different. It's the sky's the limit. The goal is to find a system that works for you. I wouldn't spend a ton of time researching systems. I would find a system that makes sense to you and change it up if you need to over time. It's not like a big deal to change things. I've changed mine so many times. Some people have a system of, they'll have, Martin Shervington has a flow system of, based on how he wants to see his stream, and he wants to see people who, the more, less, what I'm talking about in your stream, where you could turn the volume up of your circle, say,
yes,
more of this person's post. This person's post. So he kind of if he starts to notice you, he'll move you into up the flow, so that he sees more of your content. He also, I know, uses his circles as campaigns. Like, say, for example, he did a Canva, promotion for, and so he created a circle of people who were working on it with him, that were posting about it. And so, he'll create these targeted campaign circles. Some people base it just solely on interest. I've got a music circle. I've got a arts and crafts circle. I've got a business circle. And people can be in multiple circles, and it doesn't count towards your limit. So you can have them in, different circles.
Great. That's great. So hey, we have questions. We have questions, Christine. Look, Julie's got a question. She wants to know what you think about random circle sharing. And actually, Rhonda has a similar question, I think. And I read some articles, and you might have actually written some too, Christine, about creating circles and sharing them. But some of these circles are large. Can you educate us on circle sharing a little bit?
Well, actually, I was known as the Circle Queen there for a while, about a year ago. And I did start out, and I got very involved in the circle sharing part of Google+. And I'm not going to say that it doesn't help your follower count. Although I will say that, follower count shouldn't be the goal. It's a silly goal, but I know it's a vanity metric. And I know, oh, sure, you could say that you've got 90,000 followers. Okay, so if your goal is to get followers, that is one way. It is one way, I'm not going to lie. And why is that? Because if you are in these shared circles, and I'm still in many, even though I haven't shared one in like a year, but because I started out earlier, if you're in these shared circles, people are going to add the circles. And they're, so there you have a follower. They don't know who they're adding. They're just adding circles. They could be adding circles of people who haven't been here for a year. They could be adding circles of spammers. They could be adding circles of people who are going to just post pornography. I mean, you don't know. You don't know with Circloscope either. That's the thing. You don't know who you're adding. So be careful. But if you do get in these shared circles, that's the whole reason you don't automatically add back. Now, if you add a shared circle, then all of these people, you will be following them. Some will add you back, some won't.
Right.
You will see their content in your stream, and you can have a varying experience. Some will be good circles, some will be bad circles. Some are good people, some are bad people. You don't really know. I'm not going to tell you who is or isn't. I don't know either. With Circloscope, you can actually take these shared circles and take a bunch of links to these shared circles and then filter them by making sure people are still active, making sure that they have profile pictures, various things, and then add them to one circle. So instead of having a bunch of shared circles with duplicate people in them, because you'll find the same people are in most of them, the ones who reshared them and stuff like that. You can add them to one circle, and you can mute it, or so you can go so the content won't go and mess up your home stream, and you can go look through that new stream that you've created now, and you can take people out, and I kind of think of them as a temporary circle. And with Circloscope, that's what I do is I find these people who when I take a bunch of posts, like say for example for my music thing, it's very easy to plus a post. So I just want to find the people who shared it, like they're sharing music, they're probably interested in music, people who commented. So what I'll do is I'll take those post URLs, put them in Circloscope, filter out just the people who shared it, for example, add them to a temporary circle. I date them. So it'll say maybe Circloscope October or Circloscope 10/24 through 10/31. And anyone I add that week, I'll add to that temporary circle. I'll mute it so it doesn't go into my home stream. And then I'll look through it, and maybe pick a few people out, cherry pick to put into permanent circles. I'll eventually go back through with Circloscope and check that circle and say, okay, it's been 3 weeks, and I know because I dated it. Anyone who didn't follow back, I'll take them out. And that's the way that I've been managing them, and it seems to be working.
That is such a great tip, right? I mean, and that, when I was preparing for our show, I was like, okay, I know that you can filter, and I've done some filtering, all the basics that you've talked about, but I love this tip about creating, temporary circles and really cherry-picking people, then using Circloscope to do all the heavy lifting of, people you don't want. So talk a little bit.
You will increase your, just to go back a little bit, where I was saying, if you're in those shared circles, you are likely to increase your follower count. But you're also going to increase your follower count by following people that you're interested in, and a lot of people will follow you back. So, and that's actually a more targeted way to increase it. Your follower count is going to go up, but more importantly, your engagement's going to go up because you're following people and they're following you back that are interested. I have a page for my dog, Bandit. I did a little experiment. He went from 47 followers to over 1,000 in like 6 weeks, and he's not in any shared circles. So, you can increase your follower count just by using Circloscope to add people to your circles, and lots will follow you back. It's the same philosophy, so whether you're in the circle or not, you can still increase your follower count by adding relevant people, and lots will add you back.
So let's talk about engagement, because that's really what this is all about. I think that I really am glad that you made the distinction between follower. I don't want to say follower count is irrelevant. It's sort of like what different people make follower count mean, right? To me, follower count in a lot of ways equals, I'm going to say, your activity level.
Well,
your engagement with them.
You need followers. There's no doubt that if you have a message, you need followers to get the message out. You know, but how many do you need? At some point, it's a vanity metric, or if you're just here for fun, you know, you just need people to interact with. If you're here for business, you know, you do need followers. First of all, you need 1,000 in order to use post ads. I kind of think that you need, even though, like I said, it is a vanity metric for some, you know, level. Even if you don't plan to be actively posting on your Google Plus page, but you have it there, you know, so you could be in Google search, you don't want people, potential clients or whatever, to look at it and say, well, they have 10 followers, you know.
Right.
What is this? Are they not active, or what?
Right.
You know, and I don't know what the magic number is where people will say, will not think of that, though they won't say it's too low. You know what I mean? But so I generally feel like 1,000 is a good goal, because the post ads, you know, you can do the post ads if you want, the AdWords, and you have 1,000 followers. You know, nobody's going to look at a page unless you're Coca-Cola. Now, if they only have 1,000 followers, you're like, what? But, you know, for the average person or the average business, that's fine, and it'll grow over time if you're active and if you're actively growing it. But, you know, like when I first started here, I was just here for fun, and, you know, the circle sharing, yes, it was kind of like, it was a dopamine rush, just like when you get those likes and the pluses, you know, to see that follower count grow. But, you know, so that can be fun too. But I think some people take it to an extreme. You know, they start to get too worried about it. And no matter how high it gets, it's never going to be high enough. You know, if I now, you know, I have 90,000 followers here on Google+, but, you know, there's people with 6 million. So, you know, it's just a drop in a bucket to them. But then again, one day, well, I only have 5,000 followers on Twitter. And then I thought, who says only and 5,000 in the same sentence? Like, that's a lot of people, you know?
Well, you know, everyone is, and this is a you know, we were just talking about this in the green room. This is a philosophy of mine. I believe you need to be, if you have a business, you need to be present with some relevance, especially if you're in a business that deals with customers and engagement, like marketing types or social media types. You have got to be everywhere, because, however, there's absolutely nothing wrong with being stronger in one platform than another.
Absolutely.
You know, I've been on Twitter for a long time. I've been on Twitter since Twitter started, but I still only have 12,000 followers.
Right, only. Yeah.
Only, right?
Me.
Right, exactly. It's sort of because there are people that I started with that now have hundreds and hundreds of thousands of followers, right? They just have a different philosophy than I do.
Yes, and I mean, it's very achievable. You know, it depends on how much it's worth to you and how much work you want to put in. Like, I know that my Twitter following could be 12, 20 times what it is now if I was actively following. I don't even bother. You know, to me, it's like 5,000 is plenty. You know, like, it doesn't hurt anymore. That's fine.
There's only so much you can do, right?
But at the same time, you know, I do know that I need to go in there occasionally and, you know, remove people who aren't active and find new people to add to my circle. I mean, to my lists, whatever. You know, so Circloscope is a lot like Manage Flitter, or sometimes I've used Social Bro. You know, the different Twitter tools to find.
And you know, there's a lot to compare because. And I keep waiting for this moment. I don't know if you do. I used a lot of tools to do exactly what Circloscope does in Twitter to clean like eggheads and the blank
Exactly.
profile pictures and those kinds of things, because that's really what you want. So hopefully, hopefully this won't happen to Circloscope, because just the sheer cleaning and making sure that your engagement is exactly what it should be is really good. Hey, I want to bring a question up that Julie's asking here. How about mistakes and what not to do?
Okay, good.
Let's talk about that.
Mistake, like in general, or I guess we're talking about circles in particular.
What not to do or mistakes people make. I don't know. She wasn't really specific, but we can kind of talk about, one of the things is, like you had mentioned, I think that's when the question came up. You had mentioned about, moving too many people in a short period of time.
Right.
Don't do that. I did that, didn't know.
And and if you do, or if you start aggressively following and you get the warning, just slow it down. Take a step back, take a couple days off. Sometimes if it's, it can reset after a couple days if you don't, move anybody around or add any new people. As far as this, I want to go back a little bit to the circle sharing. I would say one of the main reasons I stopped, and I was having fun with it too. It wasn't just about the following count. I was, meeting people in the threads and the conversation, and we were resharing, and it was kind of like a game, and it was fun. But it is so frowned upon by so many people on Google Plus.
Is it really? That's what I was going to ask you. It seems like it was a big topic and then it went away.
Yeah, it's so, because it is, seen as gaming and seen as noise and seen as, when a big circle share hits and 500 people share it, and then you look at your stream and it's all circle shares, and then everybody gets upset. And, so when you're first starting out, it's fun. When you're starting to build relationships, it can, the relationships I have now built, actually, it was much more difficult for me to build them because people had this perception, oh, you're a circle sharer. And, so I had to work a lot harder to get, the relationships with the people that I respect on Google+. And like I said, I was doing it for fun, and I don't see anything wrong with it. And I'm not telling anybody to do it, not to do it. I would say, though, that if you're here for business, then it's not for you. And you don't want to go to a business page and see circle shares. It's just not professional. When you have a business page, make it relevant. And yes, I was sharing some on my, when I first started here, I had a web design business. I'd had it for 8 years. I was partnered with my father. He's now running that. But I was sharing circles on there too, and it just takes away your credibility and your professionalism. And I didn't know that. I was just new to Google+. I looked around and I saw lots of people sharing circles, and they were all excited, and so I started doing it.
I am glad to hear you say that, because Rhonda and I were doing some research in it, and it's so funny. That just shows when you're out of that conversation. I was like, oh, this is awesome. Like, here's the people you should be following if you're interested in X, right? And they're all like found for you, and then you can like research them yourself. I'm like, I was looking at it as a convenience. I wasn't really looking at it as, I didn't even think of it as an engagement builder.
If it's a well-curated circle and you add it, then they may have done some of the work for you. It's when it starts to be the gaming aspect. Like, if you want to be in this circle, you must share and plus and comment. And then everybody starts sharing and plusing and commenting, and they're not vetted, and it's like just like anything, even things that are fun start to get annoying or a bad name. It's like on Facebook, when your friends start playing Candy Crush, and you're like unfriending them, and then when businesses start playing Candy Crush, you're like, what? Like, I have seen businesses playing these games, and I'm like, well, that's just weird. Shouldn't they be running their business? Like, why am I getting these notifications that you're, playing Candy Crush and stuff? So
funny. That is so funny. That's great. So we talked a little bit about mistakes that you never want to do. One of the things that really got my attention was the other day you talked about, and you mentioned it to me in the green room, but I know everybody wants to know, how do you use Circloscope to engage your community? Like you said, I send a reminder to the people that said that they would come, for example.
Yep. Should I do a really quick
screen share? I think you should. I would love to see you do this.
Okay, so here's what we're gonna do. Let's see. Hopefully this will work. I'm gonna share my screen. All right, so we're on your event page. Look at that frozen shot that's not flattering. Don't you love it?
I know. They pick the best ones, right?
I'm going to grab your URL up here in the address bar. I'm going to right-click and copy it. I don't know if you can see right-click from here, but I'm going to open up Circloscope, and I just do that by I've already installed it. I click the button in my browser bar. It is a Chrome extension. This is what the dashboard looks like, and that relevance that we were talking about. Again, these are people that are relevant to me. From here, now over here you have your personal account, and then you can unlock pages. The first plan, our premium plan, comes with 3 pages. Our pro plan, you can have up to 15 pages, and then after that you have to email us for pricing. But so if you wanted to, for this event, I'm going to, on the dashboard, go to events. And I want to see everyone who's commented so far, everybody who's posted. And I could just paste this in, say OK. So we've got 10 people who have commented so far. I'm going to select all. I'm going to unselect myself and you. It's weird because we're in the Hangout. And I am going to export to a text file. I'm going to export the plus mentioned. Say OK. Give it a name that I'll remember. And save it. Now I'm going to open it up. And hold on, I think I need to change the screen share. Okay, I've opened it up. It opens a notepad. I'm going to take out this first line. I'm going to say edit, replace, and I'm going to get rid of these apostrophe or quotation marks. So replace quotation marks with nothing. Okay. You can't see that, can you?
Yeah, but I get it.
Hold on. I think this is the right screen. There we go. Okay, so I am replacing the quotation marks. And now I'm going to just copy these, close this out, and go to the event and say thank you so much for watching. And you could do this, in a private message. You could do this however you want, and then just paste those in.
Oh, I didn't know what to do with those numbers. I must be so doofus.
If you want to format it a little, you can. And then everyone will get a plus mention. Takes a minute to load, I think.
Sure.
You know how these things are. But everyone will get a notification saying, that I mentioned them. The way that I tend to use this is.
Yep, there they are. Oh, and it turns that number into a name. I had no idea what to do with that.
Hold on, I'm refreshing. There we go.
Yeah.
There you see it there. So that's what the plus mention is. So the way that I use that is, okay, there we go. Though I was telling you in the green room, the thing that drives me crazy about events is you invite people, they say yes, they get a reminder 24 hours in advance, which is fine. But then they get another notification when the event starts, which means they might have forgotten, now they're in the middle of something, now you're started, now they're going to be late getting here, So what I like to do is about 15 minutes before an event, I'll go grab everyone, actually everyone who said yes, instead of just the ones who commented. Everyone who said yes, and I will grab the plus mentions and do a post in here and say, we're starting in 15 minutes, can't wait to see you, thanks for saying yes, you know, put in their names, and I have found that my, you know, live audience has increased tremendously by doing that, because you're giving people a reminder, you know, hey, you said yes, you know, you're giving them a couple minutes, 15 minutes to wrap up what they're doing, you know, and I think that it just, you know, it can definitely help with your live viewership. Again, like anything, this could be abused, you know, you could, you know, as long as you're keeping it, you know, just the same with anything. I mean, like with your email list, you could send an email to people before a show, but if you send it constantly, or you drive them nuts, or you bombard them, or you're not, you know, after a while they're going to stop saying yes. But on the other hand, with this, you know, if they stop saying yes, they probably weren't interested anyway.
Right.
You know? So this is giving a reminder, is the way that I see it. So that's one use for the plus mentions. Also, just, you know, should we go back to Circloscope a little more?
Yes, go back. Show us some more engaged. So this is a great engagement tip. Anyone, I don't know if I'm the only person on the planet that did not know that those numbers were actually people. And I was like, what do I do with this? So, yeah, what other tips can you give us to build engagement, right? Get people to, I don't want to say get people to +1 your stuff. I mean, that's goofy. But, right. You know, but to get into conversations with people, and how to identify people, or what are some of your little tips and strategies?
Well, here on Circloscope, you can find the engagers of, like, I can look at the engagers of my last up to 40 posts, all of them. Maybe if I want to see everybody who's engaging with me, and then compare them to, you know, for example, if I want to take out people who haven't followed me back, but I want to keep people who are engaging, you know, whatever. I want to add my engagers. I can just add people who aren't already in my circles. I could add your engagers. All I need is your URL, or anyone. I could add Martin Shervington's engagers. You know, the key here is pick people that are in the same niche as you. You know, that makes sense. Right. So if you have a competitor, put their URL in here and follow the people that are engaging with them. So if you say, I could click engagers of my last posts, and I'll just pick the last 10. Deep search and extended search, that means even the engagers of shares of your posts. If you want, you can do only your public posts, and then you just run that. So I'm going to find the engagers of my last 10 posts, or any reshares of it, and you have to give it a few minutes to load.
Yeah, it's because you have so many.
And you can always stop it and just, you know, work with the results you have. But I've got 409 here. You can see that some of them are already in my circles, and, you know, it'll show you the names of your circles. Anyone that doesn't have that under them, these people are not in my circles, and are possibly people I want to add. I can now filter this, and, you know, I recommend filtering anything. Well, you should always use your filters. For one thing, you need to, you know, make sure you're not adding people without a profile photo. So two clicks next to blue head will mean no. It'll show an X.
Oh, I see.
I could check now. Depending on what you're doing, you know, you could end up pulling posts in here that are old. Probably my most recent engagers, and most everyone's active, but I always do an activity check. Make sure that they've been active in the last, you know, for example, 2 weeks. And I might want to find only people who reshared, for example. And if I want to find people that I do not already have circled, 1 check means I already have them circled. 2 checks mean no, they're not circled yet. So I want to find the people, new people to add.
I did not know about the to-check thing. I just learned something.
And you can see it's counting. It's running right now. You need to give it a few minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so now we've got 11 people out of my past 10 posts that have a profile photo, that reshared my post, that are active in the last 2 weeks, and that I don't already have in my circles. Okay? Now you'll see this little, I could have also said only people who, you know, are following me or whatever. But so these people, like this person and this person, already follow me.
Mm-hmm.
But these don't. So when I add them, they're going to get a notification that I added them, and they might add me back.
Right.
So at this point, I would just do a select all. And if you don't want to, you know, if for whatever reason you're saying you don't want someone, you know, you could go look at their profile. You can unselect them based on, you know, I mean, you don't get a lot of information here, their name and their photo, but for whatever reason, you're saying, okay, well, they don't even have a face picture, so I don't want them. You can do that. But the key is here also that you are putting them in a temporary circle that you're going to take a look at, and you're going to, at times, add undesirable people, and that's just the way it is, and then you can remove them, you know. Don't worry so much about it. But you could create a new circle here, and I'll just do Circloscope, and I could say Engagers 1024, however I want to do it, and then click OK. And here's the bulk action. You know, it's going to add on 9 at a time, and that's how you do it. So these are active people who are interested in my content. That, you know, are now going to get the notification that I added them.
That's fantastic. I mean, just that little, honestly, I know Adelaide, she already knew about the double click. I did not know about the double click, so I'm pretty excited about that. I'm really amused. The other thing that I did not know that was an awesome tip, whether you realize it or not, is this idea of this temporary circle, like a circle in waiting, right, where you get to watch who they are and, you know, check out that content. What I was doing is just, I had that experience, right? I added people, and I'm like, oh, my God, they're in my stream. I don't even know who they are. Oh, mistake, right?
Right.
Yeah, it was just a cluttering up my stream, and I couldn't see what I wanted to see, so love this idea, right? Mute, put it in the circle, mute them, and just go visit every now and then and see what you want.
And let's just go through that in case anyone's not familiar with that. So it'll only take a minute.
While you do that, I'm going to share a comment here by Karen. She loves the event notification tip. Hello, I do too. Yes. Very good.
I always forget, so I definitely needed that tip. But so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my stream. I might need to refresh to see the new circle. Let's see, refresh. And each one of these up here, for anyone who doesn't know, is a circle. So I have a circle called Stream 1. I have a circle called Stream 2. You know, my Stream 1 is my main circle. These people I, you know, have the most, you know, showing. Still, notifications are off because I don't want hundreds of notifications. But the show post and home screen is checked, and I want to see more. Now I have tons of other circles, and we're just going to go down to the newest one that I just created, which is the Circloscope Engagers 1024. And since, like I said, I don't really know these people, I just added them, I am going to uncheck the show post and home stream. So in order to see these people, I need to actually do this and come to the circle to see it, which is fine. But when I go to my all, they won't be included.
Oh, that's fantastic. Another great tip. Super, super. And I really like that, yeah, you can describe the circles any way you like, and that's really going to help you build engagement with folks and get, you know, get into a conversation about something. That was like a really big deal to me. How do you build engagement? You know, how do you create relevant circles? We talked about what not to do. We are going to wrap up here in a couple minutes. Christine, anything, let's say, I don't know, what is it that we don't know that we should know when we're working with Google Plus and or Circloscope? Like, you know, I don't even know what to ask, but you know what I'm getting at. It's sort of like, what's the one thing?
Okay, the one thing is because it's kind of new, and I don't feel like we've yet made it clear to people. So they're likely not going to find it on their own how to do this. So you're going to get the best tip, the one that now I totally, think Circloscope is easy. So let's go back to the screen share. Okay, so I'm going to go to my home stream, or actually I'm going to do a keyword search or a hashtag search. Let's do a search for, what do you think? I'm going to do a search for music.
No, there you go.
And on Circloscope, I'm actually going to open my page to my music Hangout page. Okay, so now I'm doing this search for music. So I want to find people who are sharing music posts. I can find a post, right-click on the timestamp, and send this link to Circloscope as a post. And
now, I didn't even know you could do that.
This is new. Now I'm going to keep going. All right. People interested in music. So send to Circloscope. That's 2. Now I'm not going to do that one. Let's see. So and I mean, obviously, I'm going through quick. If you're a business, just think about, say if you are a web designer, find those web design posts. Find the people who are sharing them and commenting on them. If you're a marketer, find those, posts from, people like Rebecca Radice, that are, people like Peg Fitzpatrick, people that are, and go ahead and find those posts, find their best ones, send the links to Circloscope. This way, just instead of, because you could just do somebody's last 40 posts, but, maybe you don't want their cat picture on yours. Maybe you just want to keep it really targeted. You could quickly go through here, as you can see, and just keep doing this, up to 40, actually. And now, when I go back to Circloscope, and I go and see, it doesn't tell you anything, and people don't know what to do, and we need to work on making this more, part of the tool. But if you go to the engagers of specified posts, not in my circles, every one
it's going to be in there.
URLs is now just all here. Because where before you'd have to do one, filter it,
that's what I was doing,
do one, or go find a post, go find another, back and forth, back and forth. All of these are in here. So now I'm going to say OK, and it's going to combine all of the posts.
Sneaky tip. Sneaky tip.
Just let it load up. For time's sake, so we stay on the hour, I'm going to just click this to stop it. It's good enough. Good look, I've got 932 results.
Already. Wow, that's incredible.
Stop. Come on, stop. Stop.
Well, it's got to do its little thing.
It doesn't want to stop.
It's almost there. It's almost there. Watching that little, there it goes.
Now I'm going to filter. No blue heads. Okay. Check. 2 checks, or 2 to make an X. I'm going to make sure they're active in the last 2 weeks. I want to only get the sharers, so I'm just narrowing down, and I want to say OK, and then I let it do its magic. Now, so what I just did there with the going through the music stream, picking out some posts real quick, and coming in here and running Circloscope, that would be all I would do today. Just 3 to 5 minutes.
Yes.
That's it. Don't make this your full-time job. Don't make it your life. Your job is to run your business. You know, just this is a little bit of just, you know, maintenance. I would not spend more than 5 minutes a day ever. You know.
Gotcha. And that makes sense. And I think to your earlier point about too much activity, it can actually work against you. So you sort of don't want to be messing around with that.
This is something when you get to your computer, you're drinking your coffee, you're not quite yet ready to like think a whole lot. You know, you want to go check out what's in the stream anyway, check out what's going on anyway, and then just right-click those posts that you say, oh yeah, that's a good one, that's a good one, that's a good one. You know, and then you can go ahead and let it run. Almost done here. So I've narrowed down that 900 and some down to 142 people that aren't already in my circles, that shared a music post, that are active, that have a profile picture. And so now I'm just going to select them all, and I'm going to add them to a circle. And I need to create a new one because I haven't used this for a while. And Circloscope 1024 is good enough for me. Whatever system makes sense to you, and that is it. And 143 people will now get a notification that my music hangout has added them to their circles. And if they're music lovers, they'll see my music hangout added them. Many are gonna add back and start sharing my posts.
So I got to ask you now. I noticed you said your music hangout. So that means that you've created a Hangout page, right, where you put all these music hangouts.
Well,
right?
Yes, kind of. And I actually named it that before I ever even did a Hangout. I wasn't even thinking Hangouts. I didn't even know about Hangouts. It was just hang out with my friends and listen to music. You know, we were like just sharing and listening, you know, oh, hey, that's a great song, you know, whatever. So.
Oh, got it. Right. But I think what's really interesting is that it's not just a profile, or, I mean, you can create pages based on not just company, but you can create pages based on a specific interest or a topic, and then
content curation page. Yep. That, you know, and I just decided, you know, I wanted to have one place, a dedicated place for the music stuff, instead of I share some of it to my personal profile.
Right.
I started feeling like my personal profile was becoming all music because I shared so much of it there for a while. But that's, you know, only one part of me, and I didn't want to, you know, just because at that time that was my main interest of the, you know, like, you know how sometimes you'll get on a cat sharing kick or whatever, you know, but you don't want people to think you're the crazy cat lady. I was crazy. Starting to share so many pictures of Bandit that I decided I better off that to his own page, share them there, like every day a selfie of Bandit, and now I just share the extra good ones on my page, you know.
Oh my God, I know everybody's head has got to be exploding. I could sit here for hours, but I think I'm actually just going to re-watch this entire Hangout and play around with my Circloscope. I promise no more. Promise. Everyone is loving it. Thank you, Christine. Thank you for being here. I hope you can all say, that was easy. I think it was easy.
That was easy. Yes. Don't spend 3 to 5 minutes a day. No more than that. Don't go. You know. Don't make it your new obsession. I know people who are obsessed. Don't do that. You don't need to. Just do it a little bit every day.
Exactly, because it's saving
a couple times a day, or even once a week. Just do it consistently.
I love it. That's great advice. Christine DeGraff, thank you so much for being here. Come on back to That Was Easy. Watch your stream, and you'll get an invite and a reminder using Christine's and Circloscope's very cool tool that I learned today. Thank you all. Thanks for being here. See you later. Please leave your comments and questions, and we will answer them. Well, Christine will answer them since she's the Circloscope queen. Thank you, Christine.
Thank you.